So yeah, hello guys. My name is Adhy, year 3 NUS. So yeah, just as Felix said, I actually just learning this all web stuff very recently. And so this talk is tailored more to those of you who are just like me. So those of you who just want to get started into basically web security, web pen testing. Okay. So first of all, let's start with the motivation, right? Remember, our goal is pen test. We want to attack web application. And when we talk about web application, basically we are talking about two machines basically exchanging requests, right? Get requests, post requests, and maybe even put requests or option requests, right? And if we are only using the UI, we are only using the browser, most of the time we cannot really get much of information, right? So we want to look into a deeper level. We want to look what's happening on the request level, right? And also, on top of that, we want to send funny inputs to the server. So we want to be able to manipulate these requests from our machine to the server. And Burp allows us to do exactly those things. Okay, so what is Burp anyway? So at its core, its very core functionality is basically just a proxy. For those of you who don't know what a proxy is, basically just a middleman. So in the normal case, when we are browsing, like this is our machine, for example, and Bob is our web server. We are just sending requests to the web server, right? We're sending, let's say, get index.html, and then the server will reply with the content of of index.html. But in this case now, we put Burp or our proxy in the middle. Okay, so instead of sending to the server, our machine will send to the proxy instead. So us, as the user, using Burp Suite, we are sitting in the middle. And of course, since we are getting all the requests, we can see and then, of course, we can edit those requests. And hopefully we can get some bugs. Okay, so in today's agenda, Felix has mentioned this, but just want to reiterate, basically, I will just cover the very basic Burp functionalities. If you go to Burp's website and then maybe you go to Burp and you go to buy the Burp professional license, you will get much more from Burp, okay? It has like a passive scan, active scan, other fancy stuff. But for us beginners, let's stick to the basics so that we can understand what's happening on the background, and later when we know what we are doing, we can start to automate stuff, right? Okay, so let's go to the demo directly. Okay, so for this demo, I will solve a lab from Portsfigure, which is basically an organization which creates Burp. So Portsfigure has a web security academy. And then inside we have a lot of labs and a lot of learning material also. And for the first one, the Burp proxy, and the repeater also, we will start with this lab. Basically just an OS comment injection lab. So reading the description, this lab contains an OS comment injection, which the app will execute a shell command containing the user's applied product and store ID, and then it will return the output in the response. To solve this, let's execute who am I to get the name of the current user. So let's try to access the lab. Give it some time. Let me ensure that my burp is not intercepting. Okay, right. So here we are given the shop, and as a pen tester, a curious pen tester, let's just look around what's here. And remember, our goal is to attack this checkstop function. Now let's just try to click and see what will happen. Oh, it says there are 62 units left in this, I don't know what is this, 6-pack beer belt. Yeah, but once again, when we are using the UI only, we don't know what's happening. Suddenly we click a button and boom, a number shows up. So what we can do is to set our burp, our proxy. In this case, I have already set my Burp Suite to be running on port 8080, and basically all the traffic is running through Burp. But at the moment, my Burp is just forwarding all the requests. Okay, but if we turn on the intercept and then we check stop, there we go. We can see that our machine is actually sending a request. See, it is basically a post request to /product/stop. And then down here, we have our product ID and store ID. Then, of course, we can modify things and then we can forward it. And yeah, you will see a lot of different requests from different websites. I think this one is from my Google Docs or Google Slides. So we just forward everything for now. We turn off the intercept again. And if we see, oh, now it's showing 13 units. Okay, this is interesting. So let's do another one. We turn on the intercept and then we check stop again. What is this? We don't care. This is our point of interest again. We can change to, I don't know, 24, give a random output, a random input here, and then we forward. Oh, it shows 73 now. Interesting. Okay, but remember from the lab description, this app has a OS comment injection bug, right? So now let's just try again, and maybe we can play around with Unix comment. I don't know, let's say a single tick. We can forward, and we can see, oh, now we are having a syntax error. So we kind of know what we're going here, but as you guys can see, this process is very painful, right? You need to click the check stop, and then you go to burp, then you edit, and then so on and so forth. And that's where the repeater comes in. So actually, let's just turn off the intercept here. Burp maintains the history of all our requests, as you guys can see here. And if you guys can see, yeah, it actually maintains the history of our post request also. So what we can do now is just to right click and then send to repeater. And then you guys will see the repeater is flashing, and we can go here. And now what we can do is just to edit and send. And then we can also edit and send. Edit and send. Okay, now our life will be much, much easier. And also, it also maintains a history. So let's go to the first one, this one. Yep. And we try to craft our payload. Just now, remember we had our single tick, intermediate quote string, or maybe we can try to use semicolon to terminate the comment, and then we can inject our own. So let's say ID. Oh, interesting. Now we are getting the ID command. And yeah, basically to solve the lab, we just need to perform who am I in this. Yeah, and now we see the username here, and basically we can just go back and okay, it's solved already. Yeah, so that's it for proxy and repeater. Basically, what you can do is you can intercept, you can see what's happening on the background, and then you can modify. And if you need to modify it multiple times, you can do it again and again using repeater. But I mean, of course, in the real pen test, nobody will tell you that the app has a OS injection vulnerability. So you need to find it your own. Okay, so that's all for the first part. Now let's go to the second part, which is intruder. For the second part, let's try to do this lab, basically username enumeration from different requests, from different responses. And yeah, basically this one is just brute force, okay? Intruder is just a tool to do brute force. Okay, so this one is susceptible to brute force attacks. So basically we have our candidate usernames here, Carlos root admin, and so on. And then we also have our passwords here. I mean, obviously we cannot type manually everything, right? So let's try to automate things a bit using Verb. Now let's access the lab. Give it a while. So we want to log in, right? So let's try to my account, and then we can try to log in. 123, 123, 123. Then we can log in. Don't save. Okay, it says invalid username. So I think this implies that if we give the correct username that exists in the database, we can, if we get the correct username, then it will show a different response. So now let's just copy all the possible usernames. Oops. Copy. Then let's go to our Burp. Let's see the history first. Okay, this is our login request. As you guys can see, 123, 123, 123, 123. So let's right click and then send to intruder. Now you guys can see this is our host that we want to attack. Then this is the part where we can modify our payload. So basically this $sign are just the place where we will replace the string with our own string. So let's just clear everything. Oops. Yeah, clear everything. And now since we want to get the username first, right? We go to insert the marker here. And then after that, we go to payloads to configure our payload. And okay, let's copy everything. Okay, I think I copy already, but yeah, let's copy everything. And then we paste here. And for this attack, I will use sniper type. I will not get to details what's the difference between these four, but for now, let's use sniper. And then we can just start the attack. Yeah, as you guys can see, the community edition will be very slow. So just bear with me. Yeah, it's basically, it's only one request per second. Yeah, it will be very, very slow. But yeah, let's just give it a while. And basically in this section, you guys can like sort the request number, or in this case, since we suspect that the result will be different, we can sort from the length. Okay, I think I should have done this earlier, but okay, let's give it a while. Yeah, basically Burp will send all like different requests, as you guys can see here. Username is access, payload is access. Then here, username is accounting and accounting. and hopefully if you're lucky, then we will get our username. Okay, but the community edition, the free version, is really slow. So let's discard this. And what we can do now is we use an extender. So we can add programs like Python script and so on into Burp Suite. So to overcome the limitation of the free version, let me introduce you the Turbo Intruder. So basically, it is an extension where you can use a Python script to modify your request. So just now, let's go back to our proxy. This is our request that we want to resend, right? So we just right click and then extensions. Then we go to Turbo Intruder and send to Turbo Intruder. Yeah. And now, as you guys can see, that this is our request. And then this is using Python for Python syntax. So for the marker, just now we use $, right? But now we use format string. So %s. So in this case, I have downloaded all the username and passwords to my local host. So you guys can see passwords and usernames. If you open the passwords, it will basically show all the passwords in the list. So we can just edit this a bit. And then you guys can set the thread also, the number of thread you want to use. But I don't want to break my machine and I don't want to DDoS the server. So let's just use 571. So let's just press attack. Engine is warming up and yeah, whoops, sorry. What is this? No such file or directory. Whoops, sorry, my bad. Oh, home Adhy. Then we attack. Yeah, basically it will try to attack the endpoint, and you guys can see the request is much faster, right? It's 8 requests per second. And you can make it faster by adding number of threads or adding the number of connections. But yeah, let's do that another day. And be careful when you do that because it may crash your machine and may crash the server. But well, in most cases, your machine will crash first before the server. Okay, I don't think we have enough time to wait this program to finish. So let me just wrap things up. Yeah, basically for this, you just need to find the correct, you sort by word, and then you will see that some requests will give you a different response. So yeah, let me just wrap this up. And basically, what's next after this? After we learn the basic, what we need to do is basically just practice. So we use Burp Suite and we can go to OWASP and read some stuff there. We learn about different attacks and we can try to use our burp to imitate those attacks. And later, after you guys are a bit more experienced, we can try to participate in online bug bounty like HackerOne or other bug bounties. So yeah, I guess that should be all from me. Thank you. And yeah, any questions from the floor? Let me show my other screen so you guys can see what's happening also. See.
All right, Adhy, I think we do have one question in the chat box.
All right, okay. Is there any reason to use in-app Burp Suite browser instead of Firefox and Foxy Proxy? That's a very good question. Well, I mean, for me, I guess it's just a matter of, yeah, I mean, there's no ad block is one thing, I guess. And yeah, as you guys, I mean, you guys should do this as well. I think you guys might configure your browser in some ways. You have different plugins, different add-ons, browser extension, or maybe like we have your sessions cookies there, so you don't have to re-log in into your different CTF accounts, for example. So it's basically just for convenience. Yeah, and or maybe you want to test your application, like your local application also, which runs on your browser. Occasionally, you can use the built-in Burp Suite buttons for that. But yeah, my simple answer for your question is just basically you are most likely more familiar with your own browser with all the user settings and so on. So it's just a more convenient way to do it. Thanks, Nigel, for the question.
All right. Do you have any more questions?